Greetings, Kindred. I am Voivode Maquette, and welcome back to our world of darkness and another episode of Level by Level Protean. And tonight we're going over the level 5 power, the Unfettered Heart. This is such an interesting power because it's like this is the level 5 version for Tzimisce and Ministry. This is something that I don't really see many Gangrel taking. Because Mistform is just so inducted into my head for what it is. But this power, I don't know, it's so close to Heart of Darkness. Or just something that a Tzimisce might consider doing to make themselves more inhuman. The book states, having mastered the powers of Protean, the very insides of the user become malleable, almost viscous. The heart, seat of the vitae and unlife of the vampire, detaches and moves freely, if sluggishly, within the chest. This makes the vampire exceedingly hard to stake, as the position of their heart changes nightly, and can even allow the user to free themselves from paralysis. It's just, I don't know, it's so interesting. It's giving you so many weird benefits that kind of remind me of Blood of Acid Vicissitude, which was an elder level, which would allow you to unstake yourself over time. But the fact is that like it's basically saying that like your insides aside from your skeleton have gelled, and your heart doesn't have anything connecting it. It's just kind of moving around in there doing its own thing. The cost is free. This is just something that happens to your body when you gain this level of the power. If you decide to take the Unfettered Heart, your body just turns to jelly on the inside. The system states, increasing the difficulty on any non-combat test to stake the vampire by 3. What is a non-combat test? I'm assuming that means like it's the tests that don't involve the actual hitting of the person. But that's not really how I understand how this works. Let's go ahead and finish this up, and then we'll go ahead and take a look at the staking rules for Vampire the Masquerade 5th Edition. In melee combat, only if the stake wielder rolls a critical win does the stake penetrate the user's heart. Even if staked, the user can make a rouse check and roll their strength plus resolve at a difficulty of 5 once per hour. A win means they manage to free themselves from paralysis as the stake is pushed out of their body. They cannot attempt such stake expulsion at a hunger of 5. Probably because that means that their body is kind of like dried out a little bit, like it's not as gushy on the inside. Things aren't moving around as much as they should. And then the duration is passive. So again, this is not something that you have to try for. This is just something that your body does. Alright, so I just went ahead and I looked up the stake rules on that one. It's on page 221 of my book. I do want to let everybody know that sometimes the books are different, depending on when they were ordered. I know my book is an earlier edition, which means it's missing a bunch of stuff. But under stakes it says, to stake a vampire through the heart, a hunter needs to either hammer the stake into the vampire while they lay sleeping, or strike them through the heart during combat. For a combat staking, the hunter must make a called shot at a 2 dice penalty and inflict 5 points or more of damage of either type before halving. So in other words, before the damage has been halved, if it's superficial, or could be aggravated, if that's the case. This damage can stem from a ranged weapon test using a grenade launcher or a crossbow, firing sharpened wooden bolts, or some similar stake firing weapon. Or it can stem from close combat with a strength plus melee attack using the stake as a weapon. A stake always has a damage modifier of +0, regardless of how it is applied. Being staked through the heart with a wooden stake paralyzes a vampire, though it initially remains conscious. By spending a point of willpower, the vampire can perform minute movements, such as twitching a finger, opening their eyes, but that is the extent of their mobility. The vampire can still use mental disciplines such as auspex, presence, and dominate, but they cannot issue commands unless they can communicate telepathically. While staked, a vampire still rolls the rouse check every Sunday to awaken. Sooner or later, their hunger drives them into torpor, as noted on page 219. So the Unfettered Heart says that it increases the difficulty of any non-combat test to stake a vampire by 3. That kind of makes it sound like it's a test to see if you can stake them when they're already laying down, like when they're asleep in torpor or anything like that. I think that I would still raise it even if they were in a melee combat kind of situation. I don't know. Is that fair as a storyteller to make it so that it's harder to stake when the person's heart is jiggling around the inside of their body? I don't know. So that covers the core book in the uses of Protean. There are other Protean powers. We will be getting to them soon. We do have to cover all of the disciplines as they come in these books, though. And but I'm looking very forward to getting into Serpentis and Vicissitude variants of this power. The fact that Protean, being as mutable as it is, does not have any amalgams listed here is actually kind of interesting. Because going over Protean, we have Eyes of the Beast, Weight of the Feather, Feral Weapons, Earth Meld, Shape Change, Metamorphosis, Unfettered Heart. Absolutely no amalgams listed in the core book. But I'm sure that we will come across something due to the fact that Vicissitude itself is an amalgam power with Dominate. I am Voivode Maquette. This is our World of Darkness, and we have just gone through all of the core book's uses of Protean in Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition. Thank you for joining me. Class dismissed.